In today's video, I've got 5 facts about Rider, aka Medusa, from the Fate Unlimited Bladework series. I'll be covering her many noble phantasms, how she tragically became the Gorgon, that she was originally designed as a male for the series, and more. And hey, if you're new here, why not join the 4-on-4 community by hitting the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss a video. I'll also quickly add that if you haven't seen all of Fate Unlimited Bladeworks, then there will be spoilers, so you have been warned. Anyway, with that being said, let's roll intro and get straight into the video. Medusa, also known as Bewitching Black Serpent, is a Rider-class servant during the 5th Holy Grail War set in the Unlimited Bladework series, where she was servant to Sakura Moto. As we know, Sakura didn't want to participate in the Grail War, so control of Rider went to that of everyone's favourite Fate character, Shinji Mato. Sakura's awesome big brother. Could you pick up on the sarcasm there? Now, talking basic stats, Rider, aka Medusa, is female. She stands at 172 centimeters tall, which is 5'6", and weighs 124.5 pounds. On to the good stuff. I have her 3 sizes. Her bust is 34.5 inches, her waist 22 inches, and her hips are 33 inches. Nice. Appearance-wise, Rider, like I mentioned, is Greek mythology legend Medusa. 2 things stick out to me when it comes to her appearance. 1, she has long purple hair, unlike the snakes that protrude from her head, as legend suggests. And 2, that she wears that eye cover, which for me is quite a distinguishing feature of hers. Now, it's quite obvious why she wears this, to seal her power, known as the mystic eyes of petrification. It's interesting because she seals off her eyes, of course her other senses are dramatically increased. Smell, touch, hearing, and also magic detection. You could say that this would leave her at a disadvantage, but quite the opposite really. She is now able to have much more precise information on her surroundings. And Rider, though she stands at 5'6", which may I add is taller than the average height of a female at 5'4", is actually embarrassed by her height. And not sure why, as I couldn't find out any further information in the Fate material books. It did also mention that she was embarrassed by others seeing her mystic eyes, but once again that's a pretty obvious one that I'll get more into in a later fact. Rider's attire has a black and purple theme and is quite simplistic. As well as the eye cover, she has thigh-high boots, a black and purple mini dress, and sleeves that come up to her shoulders. She also bears a mark on her forehead. Once again, I couldn't find out exactly what it means or stands for, but these are some of the answers that I found. One person said that it could be the kanji, which means to mourn, written in a freelance way. Another person said that it kind of just looks like a snake. And somebody said it was the symbol of a rider, and a few other theories of course. If you know though, please let me know in the comment section below. Interesting fact I found as well is that Rider was originally designed to be male, and as well as this, in the original concept drawings for Rider, she was shown to look a lot similar to Ayako Mitsudori, who was a character in the school archery club, seen as a friend to Rin Tosaka and kind of a rival to Shiro Emiya. Firstly, I want to talk about Medusa's parameters, which are servant's overall stats. In Unlimited Bladeworks, her stats or parameters change, and not for the better. While she was still a servant to Sakura, her parameters were as follows. Strength was a B rank, endurance a D, agility an A rank, mana a B, luck or unlucky with an E rank, and her main noble phantasm as an A+ rank. Then once she became servant to Sakura's brother Shinji, her parameters were strength at a C rank, endurance at an E, agility at a B, mana a B rank, her luck slightly rose, kind of, as a D rank, and once again the noble phantasm remained at an A+ rank. Now, if we compare the two, you can see that Rider's stats dramatically decreased. This was down to the fact that, as a master, Shinji was awful, just a spineless douchebag overall, but the main reason was his inability to use magecraft due to his family's bloodline being thinned that much that they were unable to produce heirs capable of sorcery. Compared to his adopted sister, though quiet, shy, and, too scared to compete, she was clearly the better mage between the two of them. It was Shinji's only skill in manipulation that helped him obtain Rider as a servant. But But anyway, back to Rider. Her combat style was, very long range based. She could fight at close combat, but her weapon suited distance fighting much better. The weapon she wielded was a small dagger known as the Nameless Blade, though in close combat it resembled that of a nail rather than a dagger. Attached to this blade was a very long chain that could pierce or immobilize her enemies and should combine both dagger and chain as a throwing weapon. Rider also possessed great speed, so much that her movement was compared to that of a bullet as she would shoot across the battlefield. In comparison to a servant such as Lancer, she is much faster. However, because she is a Gorgon, fighting against a monster exterminator such as Lancer would have been a scenario that left her at a severe disadvantage. And of course, being of the rider class, Medusa was a very skilled rider, be it vehicles or animals. Her skills were that great that she could mount phantasmal or divine beasts. And the Greek god Poseidon had gifted Rider with a Pegasus. Just as her dagger was named the Nameless Blade, the Pegasus was also nameless. This Pegasus, however, boasted a strength that was almost on par with that of a dragon, who were top of the food chain when it comes to talking about phantasmal beasts. During the battle with Shiro, he actually initially thought this Pegasus was Rider's noble Phantasm, but it isn't. Rider's noble Phantasm, and I'm going to butcher this so I do apologise, Bellerophon, allowed the Pegasus to unleash an extremely powerful charge that looked like an arrow of light. Pretty awesome. While on the subject of noble phantasms, next up I have 3 noble phantasms of hers and her awesome skill, Cybele. I think I've pronounced that right, probably not. Basically, it's the Mystic Eyes of Petrification, so let's start with that one. These eyes of hers are said to be the curse of the gods, sealed by the powers of the shrines. Just as the legend of Medusa goes, these eyes were able to petrify others. Anyone with a rank C or lower in mana would be petrified immediately. Those with a B rank would only be petrified under certain situations, basically dependent on the conditions. However, those at a rank A would not be petrified, but would be affected by the immense pressure that comes with this skill. Once petrified or turned to stone, not only the body is affected, but also the clothes and weaponry that they have on them at the time. Over time, the enemy would die slowly and while they were alive. And it starts with their blood thickening to the point that the victim's senses would begin to fail. And then, from the feet upwards, they begin to become petrified, eventually turning into stone. Still alive within this tomb of stone, Medusa can then kill them while they are defenseless. This skill is perfect for those one-on-one battles, but almost useless in the situations where she comes up against many opponents in combat. Another downside to this ability is that it takes up a load of her magical energy. Combine this with her usage of noble phantasms means that Rider will be drained of her magical energy quite fast. In appearance, these eyes are considered as like jewels or crystals. Rider's are a very pale greyish purple. Shiro, believed that these eyes were far too beautiful for any human to possess. Obviously. These eyes, though, are definitely more complex compared to that of a normal human eye. Let me explain. The corneas don't take in light, and most noticeably, the pupils are a square shape, which means Rider sees the world through the same square shape. The irises are solid to the point that these eyes never close, or can't close for that matter. There's also millions of tiny cells that make up the retina. These are made of the 6th imaginary element known as daemons. This is a force that reacts to a human's desires for a wish. Now, 2 of Medusa's noble phantasms are linked to her eyes, and the first one I'll talk about is a B-rank noble phantasm known as Blood-Fought Andromeda. Probably butchered that as well, my bad, leave me hate, it's all good. This is the blood temple that surrounded the home of Medusa and her sisters in Greek mythology called the Shapeless Isle. It's basically a huge boundary that absorbs the magical energy or life force of those that are trapped within it, and is then used to fuel Medusa or her master. By dissolving any live humans she's caught into blood and using her own blood as a material, she will place small magic circles and build a parameter for this boundary. Anyone now trapped within the boundary are immediately drained of their life force, though only slightly to begin. Appearance-wise, it takes the form of a huge blood-red dome that covers the area with a giant red eyeball floating above it. Everything within the boundary is now tinted crimson red. This barrier now also acts as a separate plane and shuts off the outside world completely. Obvious to mention, but all escape routes are naturally cut off as well, and any contact to the outside world, as we saw when Rin couldn't make contact with Archer when she was trapped inside the barrier. Also, to anyone outside the barrier, everything appears as normal as they can't see the barrier itself nor what is going on within the boundaries. The second noble phantasm is a C- rank and is the mask that Medusa wears to conceal her mystic eyes. The previous mentioned blood temple is an outer seal. This one is a dark temple self-seal. Breaker Gorgon has the ability to seal all magic properties within the consciousness of the wearer's own mind. Those trapped within this place are said to see a nightmare, albeit mixed with delight. It also dyes the wearer's eyes crimson. Medusa tends to use this noble phantasm on herself to seal her eye's power, as one of the abilities of this is that it seals the wearer's skills, magic, abilities, and noble phantasms within a bounded field while wearing this mask. When used on others, it's used to trap the wearer in a lewd dream so that she can steal their blood, or semen apparently. Awesome, I guess. Sign me up. Final noble phantasm is the previously mentioned butchered name Bellerophon, Riddle of Chivalry, which is an A+ rank noble phantasm. Nothing more to mention on it from what I talked about earlier, in which she uses it on her Pegasus to become one with the divine beast and launch an all-out powerful attack. Though the Pegasus is an amazing creature already, this skill also boosts all of its abilities by 1 rank. Downside to this ability is that it is definitely not suited to ground battles or one-on-one skirmishes, but excels when used from the sky as they crash down on their enemies like a bolt of lightning. Rider's Japanese voice actress is Yu Asakawa. She has voiced other characters such as Leone from Akame ga Kill, Shisato Hasegawa in The Testament of Sister New Devil, Fuka from Naruto Shippuden, and many more. Rider's English voice actress in the original Fate Stay Night series and the movie is Karen Strassman. She has voiced other characters such as Soifone in Bleach, the awesome, beautiful Colin Kozuki from Code Geass, director Minami in Love Life, and of course many more. Then there's Rider's English voice actress in the Fate Stay Night Unlimited Bladeworks route. That is Melissa Farn. She has voiced other characters such as Neptune in Hyperdimension Neptunia, Himawari Uzumaki from Boruto, and of course, many more. Medusa was one of 3 beautiful sisters that were born or created from the wishes of mankind. These 3 women were perceived as the perfect goddesses and captured the yearning hearts of men everywhere. These 3 sisters were actually hated by Poseidon's wife because she was jealous of how much love they received from her husband. Out of the 3 sisters, Medusa, the youngest sister, was different, described even as a failure due to the fact that these 3 were supposed to be clones. Medusa was copied imperfectly compared to her 2 sisters. Instead of inheriting the immortal and forever young qualities, Medusa, who would grow older over time, instead received the mystic eyes that she would use to protect her sisters. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Poseidon's wife wasn't a big fan of these 3 princesses, who were loved everywhere by humans. They also found that Athena didn't think much to them either. She was so jealous of them and their beauty, and in particular their hair, that she cursed Medusa alone. Now, their life of luxury started to change, and drastically, as the curse put upon her was the faith from every person was taken away. The love and idolization she once received was turned into hate. This resulted in the 3 sisters being banished and had to take exile on the shapeless isle. Now, this curse, of course, was only put on Medusa. The other 2 sisters remained unaffected, but chose to accompany their sister out of love that they still held for her. Though Medusa hated the humans and would prey on the ones that came to the island, she remained happy with her sisters. The sisters eventually became rumoured as monsters too, but this changed when they were seen, though this only lasted for a short period of time as they eventually became targets too. Medusa did not take too well to this and swore to protect them and take revenge on the humans when they came to the island. And of course, this place soon became littered with statues of the humans that came to take the sisters' lives. There was a brief period of harmony, and it was at this time that Medusa received her Pegasus from Poseidon. Although she was bullied by her sisters, she did enjoy spending her time wandering around the island on days when there was no humans around trying to kill them all. Though Medusa at this point had killed many humans protecting her sisters, the sisters were starting to get worried and warned Medusa not to take pleasure in killing them. This obviously didn't happen as Medusa started experimenting with her eyes, looking at different ways in which she could kill the humans and how quickly she could do this. It actually got so bad that Medusa started to drink the blood of these humans rather than just petrifying them. Quite crazy stuff. Of course, as the days went on, Medusa became the Gorgon more and more each day. Her body, heart, and very self became decayed. Medusa, was so embarrassed and ashamed by her now existence that she didn't want to show herself in front of her sisters. Because of this, she made the choice to leave them and take solitude alone, seeking new sacrifices to fill the void and cure her sadness and, of course, loneliness now. It got to the point, Medusa had fallen so bad at this point that her own sisters had become an annoyance. They eventually intruded on her lair, only to see their sister's full descent into this now monster. They told her that, they did not ask for her protection or for any of this to happen, but unfortunately the sisters had become so sad at this point that they ended up sacrificing themselves to the Gorgon, who was once their beloved sister, now of course fully consumed and not there anymore. The sisters were then continuously ground into a pulp and consumed by the countless snakes while they were still alive, eventually becoming part of the Gorgon's flesh and blood. Now, of course, we all know the next part of this story. A hero called Perseus came to the island to claim Medusa's head for his own fame, to which he, succeeded. But thanks for watching. This was my video, 5 facts about Rider from the Fate Unlimited Bladeworks series. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you'd like to see more characters from the Fate franchise, let me know in the comments. Who do you want to see? Also, don't forget to smash the like button if you enjoyed this video, as it really does help my videos reach a wider audience. And of course, subscribe for more anime content. Till next time, my fellow weebs. Peace!